Mike, thanks for being on the call today.
Absolutely. My
Yeah.
pleasure.
So we obviously, the purpose of these calls are to add value to the folks that are watching, our friends and clients. And so I've got a topic I'd like to discuss today. Why don't we sort of bat it back and forth and talk and give buyers in this competitive market we're experiencing here in Charlotte, North Carolina, what are our top 3 bits of advice that we would offer home buyers in this market? All right. And I know I'm catching you off guard, Mike, but I want you to go first.
All right.
We're going to have some good ones for folks. You know,
we've got some good ones. We've got some good ones. Well, thanks so much, Scott. It's always a pleasure to be here, and just love being a part of a great organization, and just feel honored to be here, and love doing these. So the top 3 things, I'm going to give one, and then I'm gonna punt it over to you, Scott, for the other one.
Fair enough.
So we'll get
have a little when you give yours, I may sort of have a follow-up, just to kind of talk about it. But feel free to punch it back to me whenever.
That's perfect. First thing I would say is be prepared. And there's kind of some ABC with that, but be prepared. Don't just say, I want to go see 123 Main Street and just go start looking at properties. Like, there's so much that goes into a home purchase that whether it's your first time or your 10th time, if you're relocating here and to Charlotte, North Carolina, we have a North Carolina based contract. If you're coming from a different state, there's some nuances you might want to know. So the more you're prepared before you enter into the home buying market, particularly if you're a competitive price point or competitive area where you're looking to buy or build, it's really important to be prepared.
That's a good one. That's fantastic, actually. As you know, we help a lot of folks relocate in from other areas of the country, and some folks come with sort of their own preconceived notion as to what the process looks like, right? Like maybe California, Florida, New York, where they have a different contract. They have different aspects that they need to consider when offering on property. Here, the biggest that comes to mind is the due diligence piece. And I found that many other states do not have the same due diligence function within their offer to purchase, right? Now, we won't get into the weeds of what due diligence is necessarily, but I love that. So true. And starting with a foundation of information, but also knowledge through your experience is the first step. I love that choice. So I would say to additionally overlay, once again, with that foundation of information that you provide your home buyers, I would say being familiar with knowing what you want to spend and getting pre-approved, okay, what you want to spend, what's within budget, right? Yeah, so being pre-approved is very important. So when the right opportunity presents itself, you're in a better position to make an offer. Sellers in this market, unless you're paying cash, they're going to want to see proof of your lender approval, excuse me.
1,000%. And on that note, if you're a buyer coming into the market, and a lot of what a seller is accounting for is the reputation of the lender. So if you're not paying cash and have a proof of funds letter, which is a given, then you really want to consider a lender that's extremely reputable in the local market. If it's XYZ lending company no one's ever heard of, and it's a pre-qualification letter, it's very important to discern the difference between pre-qualification, pre-approval, and the lender you choose.
Let me just, also, we're still on your point. We're still on this, your overlay. So having a pre-approval from a local lender is perceived much better in the mind's eye of a seller and a seller's agent when that accompanies the offer, because we know that there is someone on the ground that is managing this, not someone in a call center on the other side of the country, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
1,000% agreed.
All right. Very good. So, all right, now it's on you. Go ahead.
So we talked about be prepared and to come into the market with a pre-approval letter. Once you've found the property, it's really important to run a baseline of value of that property to know, is it on par with what you're expecting for the marketplace? Is it high? Is it low? Is it median? Run the comparable data sales. Don't just base it on what the seller has, set the price for. You really have to do a little bit more due diligence than that and make sure that your interests are aligned with what you're expecting for the outcome to be as it relates to price, and specifically running a comparative market analysis, which your agent can obviously help you through.
Absolutely. I love that. You have to analyze. You can't just assume it's been priced right. Not even, I mean, in particular, I should say, in this market. Yeah. So I'm a big believer, and I know you are as well. So my number 2 is to get out there and see enough property, okay, live and in person, instead of from behind a computer screen. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's solid.
And from our perspective as representatives who represent buyers, showing is always better than telling. So a buyer puts themselves in a better position to make an offer when the right opportunity presents itself through that exercise, right? You're able to formulate, okay, is this a good value? Not only from when you're going to run the data, and we're numbers guys, we both love data, we love matrix, but there's some magic that takes place with respect to visibly walking through a property to determine value beyond just the bricks and the mortar and the square footage, right?
Absolutely. I mean, how many times have you heard, wow, this room isn't quite how the picture is represented?
Oh yeah. Pictures can go both ways, right? They can make something look much better than it actually is, and conversely, the picture can look worse, and then you get there and you're like, wow, this is better than the picture.
Yep, that's exactly right. So don't rely on those photos. We got to get out and look at it. I love that advice. I think that's sound. My number 3 for a buyer in today's marketplace is always, always, always have a thorough home inspection, ... If there's something of relevance and importance to you, there are other inspections that you could add on for additional cost, of course. But if they're important to you, it's important to discern all of the options up front as it relates to a home inspection and those add-on inspection services that you might want to walk through.
Absolutely. So I just want to share an example that I know you've experienced. Where the home inspector suggested that maybe you have the pipe looked at, I think it might have been a sewer pipe from the home to the street. And so you called your plumber and had them out there for that as secondary inspection, and they found that there was a crack in the pipe from the home to the street.
Correct.
Because they found that through a camera. They were ... go down and figure it out, and it was from a shrub, I guess, and the roots had gotten into that's valuable information, right?
And the house was 4 years old. So you would have not really thought about it, but the frame of reference was, I've heard of other people experiencing this. Let me just add it on and let's see.
Absolutely. I love that. And you're always
important to you.
Yeah. That's the point of the knowledge that you bring to the table as their buyer's agent, right? Most people just assume a standard home inspection is going to catch and see everything, and that's just not the case.
It doesn't.
Well, obviously, we have really good home inspectors. So if there's something that they might suggest outside of their scope, they're the first people to say, listen, I think you should have a specialist look at this. You should have the furnace looked at, or you should have this the water in the crawl space looked at, or in your case, the plumbing. So I love that. Excellent. I would say, once again, so my number 3 is, at this point, we've talked about, identifying the right, getting pre-approved, identifying the right value, seeing enough homes, and put yourself in a position so you can mentally engage and feel good about it to make a competitive offer on a piece of property.
Absolutely.
So I would say, and then obviously have it thoroughly inspected. I would say, as far as building out that offer, I think if you know that this property is going to get a lot of interest from other buyers, you need to obviously put your best foot forward. And that doesn't always mean, sometimes it means paying full price or maybe more, but it doesn't always. Once then you go back to the analysis where the value is, and through that data. But due diligence amount is key. Okay, the amount of money that the buyer's willing to put up in due diligence to show how serious they are to the seller is paramount in this market, right? It's not just about the sales price. Okay. Really, frankly, there are many other inclusions and exclusions to consider, but once again, we're just pointing out our top three, and there are many others, but our top three, I would speak to due diligence. You need to put your best foot forward. It needs to be substantial enough so the seller looks at that and says, okay, this is a vested buyer. This is a buyer that really wants this house,
Mm.
willing to risk this amount of due diligence to show how serious they are. So
That's sound advice. Due diligence is a hard money check the buyer doesn't get back until they close, but they do get it back. And due diligence is one of those things that as a seller, they're looking, to your point, Scott, that's a phenomenal point, that, I mean, how, if you're going to take your house off the market for X number of days or weeks, you know, that's the only thing you get. So if it's super low or nil,
yeah,
the seller's going to look at that and say, how serious can he possibly be?
yeah.
Versus, yeah, putting much
Absolutely,
more.
Mike. Yeah, totally agree. Now, here's the thing. If the property had been on the market for 90 days and you're the only offer, that's not the same strategy. With me? Right. We're talking about in a competitive situation, a competitive climate.
Yep.
Then you have to, put your best foot forward, not only in price and, with offer amount, but due diligence is something that speaks to the sellers, right?
1,000% agreed. Yeah, I think those are great points, man. You had some good ones. I like those
Well,
top
you
three.
did too. Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, I had to kind of shift on a dime because you took one of mine. I had to go to another one, but
So I started first.
absolutely, it's all good. So great insight, and certainly enjoy the call, and look forward to more. Anything else you want to add?
No, I would say thanks so much again for the opportunity. And I would say if you need anything at all, again, having a professional in your corner is what we're all about. So Scott's been doing this a long time. He's a phenomenal resource. I'm here, of course, and we're always here to help you and through that process. If you're contemplating buying or relocating this area, we help a lot of folks that are early in the process or just trying to learn, what to do in the local market. And that's what we're here to be, as a resource and help.
Absolutely. We help people that have bought and sold 20 plus homes. I literally had somebody that was in the military who had purchased 20 plus homes. I
Wow.
think it was 22 in their life. It was long in the tooth with respect to his experience, but he appreciated the value I brought to the table. So certainly we help first-time home buyers, folks that, move up buyers, folks that have bought and sold a ton of property. We feel like we have a value to add to each of these types of buyers in the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. If you need any information, make sure to click the link below.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll put a link there. We'll actually put our top 10 buyer tips in a competitive market. So additional value.
That's awesome.
All right, good. Well, thanks for joining us today. And then we'll have another conversation soon, and we hope you'll tune in.
Absolutely. Take care.